Rick Shew here. I'm on 2 hours of sleep. Aaron, 2 hours. We've got Aaron, Fanboy Garage. Let's chat.
Everybody come on, let's get down. Get down.
Thank you, Freak Bass, for the music. You see, I'm already fucking things up because I'm tired, dude.
Dun, dun, dun. Hit it twice. Double tap.
I hit it twice. And this is going to be on iTunes like this because I'm too lazy to edit it. I don't want to edit it because I'm just going to throw this up as a podcast. So Brian Chatlin has been really busy with his photography and acting. And then our Courtney Cheek ran off and got married. And, you know, she's been super busy. So it's kind of been just me. But they'll be back in the loop here soon. But dude, it's like having a show and just doing it on your own temporarily. It's a lot of work.
Yes,
I know you know.
Yes, it is.
I know you know.
Yeah, once our podcast, folks was in the height of the pandemic, needed to take breaks and reassess things. And I always wanted to keep the show going, so I kind of moved our show from traditional podcast form to YouTube videos, just so that people. It wasn't even for people; it was more for me. I needed to keep venting about things that were happening in entertainment and pop culture, and developed like a little offshoot called Aaron Speaks. Well,
I like what you have to say, so I'm glad you're still talking.
Thank you.
That's all that matters. But yeah, dude. So last night, man, I woke up at 1:30 in the morning, and Jen, my wife, was like. I woke her up and I felt bad. So she was up with me for a couple of hours and I never went back to sleep.
Yeah.
Dude, I never went back to sleep, dude. And I am I worked, I had some day job meetings this morning and I'm zombied out. I'm on like cup of coffee number 40.
That's great. You get the dinner soon.
But I have a Superman mug. Hey, just real quick. Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy yet?
I did see Guardians of the Galaxy.
See, I can't talk about it because I haven't got around to seeing it. It's just been a matter of logistics. But just a quick question, and then we'll loop back around and have a discussion about it once I see it. We can talk about the trilogy. I love the first one. Second one's fine. But I am looking forward to this one. But quick question: Does this make you more excited for James Gunn's Superman Legacy?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, this is his swan song, man. He crushed it. This is the best Guardians film. This is better than the first one, in my opinion. And it is one of the best MCU films out of all the MCU films that we have. And so his the humanity that he brought to this specific film, and I'm not going to spoil anything here by saying this, but and how he managed to kind of connect that to, a character that's essentially a raccoon, speaks volumes and gets me really excited about, what he will bring to that sensibility that he'll bring to Superman. And frankly, I'm bummed because, this movie's so good. I need more of James Gunn in the rest of the MCU. I think the MCU will be hurting without him.
Well, maybe it will. It's kind of been hurting a little bit anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of that. We've talked a little bit about this on our show, but I think they are placing too many bets with things that are meant to pay off later. I think we've been waiting for a long time. Like they broke the format, they broke the formula that I think people got used to. The thing that everyone complained about. Every mid-credit scene was a tease to the next film. Or the next, sort of exciting moment, whether it was a tease of Thanos, a tease of the Infinity Stones, a tease to, Bucky's return, a tease to Wakanda. There were lots of, and all of the teases that we've been given haven't really amounted to anything yet, right? So Eternals was the first. I'm sorry, we're going on an MCU team.
No, go. Just finish up.
Yeah, the Eternals. The Eternals was the first films in the new phase, and then there was a tease to characters again, a tease to things that we didn't really understand who they were. It was like Star Fox and and some little troll dude, and like, what did that mean? And there was a tease to the Black Knight and Blade, and Blade's actually off screen, so you don't really know that that's Blade until you kind of do some digging. You know, the Shang-Chi thing, which is a great film. I'm talking about things that happened post Endgame, but like, you know, they bring the Avengers together, and then they're talking about this beacon that's being set off by the 10 rings. We still haven't been paid off on any of that stuff.
Right.
You know, Black Panther. Like, what was the tease there? There was really no tease other than to say that T'Challa had a son, and you know, and his name is T'Challa as well. So they're not setting it up for the next film. They're setting it up for the next like 10 films. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And the other thing that's hurting the MCU is the fact that you have to watch all the content. You have to be watching the animated stuff like What If. You have to be watching.
That's what's happening to Star Wars, dude. I mean, it is.
It's a little different with Star Wars, because Star Wars is on the same timeline, and they're telling stories, you know, within the singular line.
Okay. Well, they're jumping around though, but yeah, okay.
They are, but it's still one threat.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Whereas like now we've got the multiverse, and so they could always say that like this story is not actually happening within the multiverse or the universe that you're familiar with. But you have to watch all of that, and then they've got different factions of, you know, you've got like Kamala Khan, who's now a mutant. You've got you know, this concept of like Werewolf by Night, which was a thing. I don't know if you've even caught that on Disney Plus. It's actually really good, but you know, you got werewolves and Man Thing and all this like weird shit happening in the MCU, and they're not explaining it to anybody.
Well, that's unfortunate, but in terms of the James Gunn exiting, if all those issues exist with him there, I don't think that those things necessarily maybe go away or get fixed regardless. But at the end of the day, it sounds like DC's in good hands, and that's equally as important, in my opinion, more important. And I've said this a million times, but he has to make Superman Legacy work. And what's so tricky about Superman, again, I've said this a million times, in live action, set aside the stuff that's been on TV, because I understand some of that's been working for people. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been invested in it. But in terms of the films, we haven't really truly had a movie work since 1981. I mean, truly universally like embraced with audiences, critics, everybody. Superman 2. I mean, really the last two Chris Reeve movies were wonky. Superman Returns didn't land. Man of Steel was divisive. B versus S was more divisive. His cameo on Black Adam was irrelevant. Yeah, it's you know, Justice League was a mess, whatever. So it's hard. He's kind of hard to pull off in live action. But I like James Gunn's confidence in it. And I think some of the fans are missing his point when he talks about the humanity and the smile, and when he saves the kitten and all that stuff. He's not going to try to replicate Richard Donner and Chris Reeve. I don't believe that, but there's elements to it that I think he'll carry over. And unlike Superman Returns that had those, that film was trying too hard to be essentially Superman 3 without Richard Pryor. And that's why that didn't work. The original sin of that film, I think, A, was not casting me like they should have. And B was, you have a pre-existing Superman who has been gone 5 years and everybody looks 23 years old. I mean, the whole thing was just kind of well, good. Well, I will say one last thing about Marvel. So we, friends from work, we got a press screening for Into the Spider-Verse, I believe on Monday night. I can't make that. I'm in Houston. I live back and forth between Houston and Dallas, but this is Houston's primary residence. So most of the stuff I catch will be here. Brian and Courtney are up in Dallas. They are actually going together, which is awesome to check it out. And so they'll do a show, or she'll write a review. She's an awesome writer, or Brian will do
you guys gonna do like post screening reactions, so with no spoilers?
You know, they can do whatever they want. I just know that whatever they do will be great. And so they'll be covering that movie for us.
I saw the first film, the first like 30 minutes of the first film at Comic-Con in New York. And I remember I walked out of that first look going like, this movie's going to change the game. Like, this movie's going to be amazing. It is such a different story, such a different approach to filmmaking, frankly, and animated films.
It's killer.
I was just watching it yesterday.
It's
my kids love that movie, and I love it.
So do my daughters. And they might. I know my stepkids really loved the last Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm sure if they're into that, but my girls are. They love it, so
Yeah.
I'll be taking them to see it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Flash. Obviously, the movie doesn't come out for another really
Yeah,
like a month, about a
yeah,
month, June 16th, right? But this
that's right.
Monday, but there's been screenings of it, and then this Monday night there is some selective cities that are doing IMAX screenings. Orange County, California, San Francisco, California, Paramus, I think I'm saying that right, New Jersey, and Dallas, Texas. Is it
Paramus.
Paramus? Okay, I'm sorry, Paramus. I lived in Westwood, Jersey, in the summer of '99. I lived there. I essentially lived there. Stayed on that damn couch all summer. Filming Sopranos in that neighborhood. In fact, took the train to New York every day. But in my hometown of Dallas, which is also where Courtney and Brian are, I sent them the information. I think Brian may be checking it out. Didn't land in Houston, so I can't see it on Monday. But I'm interviewing Andy DiGenova from Holy Batcast Tuesday for this show, which I'm looking forward to that. He's great. Great podcast too, by the way. Monday night he sees it, and I'm curious which, probably I guess Orange County is my guess. So I'll get to talk to one of the biggest Batman fans I know about his reaction to it. So that'll be fun.
Awesome.
So and right now the projection for opening weekend is 115 to $140 million, dude.
We'll see.
We'll see. What are your thoughts right now? Like, how do you feel about it going into it with some of the reactions and the final trailers and all that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of talked. You and I've chatted.
We have, but
via text about it. But I'll share my. Look, I'm sold. I'm sold on the film purely on the involvement of Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. That's all you need. That's all I need.
Correct.
I think they're overdoing it with him. I know they're like screaming from the rooftops. Michael Keaton's in this movie. He's going to say some really cool shit. He's going to do some really cool shit too, and blah blah.
Well, can you blame him though?
No. I mean, I get it, but like that's one demographic. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and look, it's about equity, right? That's what it comes down to. Like Michael Keaton's Batman has more equity than Ezra Miller's Flash.
Well, Michael Keaton's Batman has more equity than Flash.
100%, 100%.
Just the character alone, and then you've got the GOAT.
But that's the thing. I mean, and this is some of the issues that kind of played to, BVS is, Superman plays second fiddle, and ultimately what should have been his sequel movie to Batman. Like Batman eats up that film. Everyone loves and craves Batman, and Superman became unrelatable and almost dislikable in that film, and so. The setup.
But Aaron, in the director's cut, there was 5 extra minutes of Clark Kent investigating, which fundamentally changed the movie completely. It did a 180. It's an entirely different movie.
Yeah, but in order to get that extended cut, you had to buy it. And
I'm being sarcastic.
Facetious. Okay,
it didn't change the movie at all for
Thank
anybody.
You.
All right. If you liked it, maybe a little more. If you hated it, like most people did, you hated it more because it was longer.
I didn't. It's funny. I appreciated the extended cut.
So did I.
Made
it flush some stuff out with Lex. I mean,
sure.
it improved the film if you already liked it. But it's not like if you hated it, like, I needed was a little bit more Detective Clark and a couple more minutes of Lex's plan, and now, woo.
It fixed some of the editing issues I was having with the film. But anyways,
go back to this. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think it's twofold. I think one, Michael Keaton and Batman are going to sell the tickets. Could have a little bit to do with Ezra Miller's issues, and they're kind of taking the spotlight off him a little bit. Could be a combo of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But let's wait and see. I still feel like the heart of this film, just based on what it looks like, is, and I've talked to somebody that's seen it, but they played by the rules, even privately on the phone with me. But I would say that like they didn't give me shit, nothing other than what they could put on Twitter. They just read their tweet to me. I'm like, okay, fine. But which is what you're supposed to do. But what I did hear is the heart and soul of the film is Barry and his love for his mother.
That's great.
And that ties in, and that obviously ties into. Did you notice in one of the new trailers he's talking to Affleck's Bruce Wayne? He said, "I can even save your parents."
I didn't even, dude. I said, I stopped watching all of that stuff.
Stop
because I'm like, I don't need it. I'm gonna go in there Because what it starts to do is all the good moments, the things that you're like, oh, the things that they're hooking you on become less hooks when you're watching the film, and it doesn't land. It's like the jokes, you know.
And most of them are going to be different takes, anyway, as you and I both know.
Right. So you know,
yeah.
whatever. I'm down for it. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's watch
Let's
it.
go.
Let's get it over with. Let's start
Well,
let's refresh.
Let's refresh.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how it restarts the DCU.
I am too. As I understand it, it's kind of like one of those things where you can interpret it as buttoning up the Snyderverse, and you can also interpret it as it leaves things open for that to continue in some capacity. And I'm sure
God help us all.
Well, no, there's some good stuff in the Snyderverse, especially cast members. But regardless, we'll see where that all goes. I'm not making any predictions. So much of this will really be determined by what happens with Flash from a box office standpoint, and quite frankly, where Superman Legacy lands.
Yeah, I think Superman Legacy's got a lot of pressure. The Flash, whether it succeeds or not, you know, James Gunn is still writing and directing a Superman film,
of course.
I think and a lot of this has nothing to do with his tenure there, the success of the Flash, or even the way that it was shaped. I think he was lucky enough that Andy Muschietti is bringing a lot of heart and soul to this, and has been a good partner and collaborator with James Gunn. But ultimately, I don't think that shit falls on his shoulders.
Well, no, I don't either. So let me clarify, because you are absolutely correct. Here's what I meant by this. I'll paint this picture. If Flash does 1.4 billion, and it's a critically acclaimed film, they're not just stopping there. It's just
yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like if it's a Black Label offshoot Keaton thing, because he'll still do his Batman. And then Matt Reeves obviously is doing his thing, thank God. And so, although, did you see the Penguin has been put on hiatus
for the writer strike?
Yeah, I mean just temporarily for the writer strike. Okay, so let's shift gears here a little bit. We're both excited to see Michael Keaton return. Indiana Jones. So it premiered at Cannes. Really, yeah. And have you read the reviews today?
I did not. I saw.
So
I didn't read any of the. I lie. I did read one. I saw the varieties.
Okay, so
I just quickly skimmed through it.
It is Friday, May 19th, 2023.
I'm surprised that they lifted embargoes on reviews a month and a half out from this movie.
Yeah, 1:10 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2:20 in New York, where you're at. As of this writing, it has 19 reviews, or as this podcast, 50%. At 47%. Now maybe that's changed in the last 20 minutes that I
it dropped.
Yeah,
because when I looked early this morning, it was at 50%.
Well, here's a couple of things I'll say to that. First of all, who gives a shit, right? Go see it, judge for yourself. What drives me nuts about stuff like this is that we're letting these aggregates and Rotten Tomatoes ruin everything for us. And people are like, oh, I saw this coming. Well, you saw what coming? Like all of a sudden now you agree with critics. You didn't agree with critics with The Last Jedi.
Yeah, it becomes now you agree. Lightning rod.
Yeah. Just go see it for yourself. And quite frankly, some of the reviews I've read, I feel like, and I say this about Star Wars, it's okay to not like a movie in a franchise. Star Wars, I don't want to say Batman, because Batman, the only really, when I think of franchise, I mean, yeah, it's technically a franchise, but I'm talking about with like continuity. Because really all you have is the Tim Burton films, the Joe Schumacher films, which at this point, they're just separate. And then the Nolan films, and everything else is this kind of offshoots, right? Like Snyder. But Star Wars and Indiana Jones are the same reality. They're the same, under the same umbrella. They're the same universe. And it's okay if you don't like an Indiana Jones film but love another. But when I read some of the reviews, and it's like I'm reading reviews like it's not even from the franchise, like the standard that it's being applied to, the barometer is like Lord of the Rings or something. I'm like, have you guys seen an Indiana Jones movie?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? So who knows? Who cares? Just I'm excited to see it. It's the last one, so let's go enjoy it. But you know,
I'm not excited.
I'm excited just to see it on the big screen. I mean, I like Chris.
I'm debating whether or not I see it in theaters at all.
I liked Crystal Skull fine. I didn't hate it.
Man, I will tell you.
I
will tell you. There was a moment where in Crystal Skull, it was the monkey swinging bullshit.
That was stupid.
and I literally just stopped and was like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
You're watching the Star Wars prequels, bro. That's what you're
Dude,
watching.
and so that this is the thing. This is the thing that was killing it for me for Indiana Jones. I appreciate that Lucasfilm's heart and soul is in discovering the next technology that's going to push movie making forward to new heights, right?
Okay.
ILM, all that good shit. I love the technology, the innovation behind all that. But what you can do, like the over reliance on much of that in their films, specifically Star Wars and Indiana Jones and a couple of other things. I saw it in Willow. It detracts you from actually being engaged in like the world building and the story that they're shaping, because you are being distracted by some really wonky ass CGI shit. And from the stuff I've seen in the trailers, that's the stuff that's like, I don't really think I want to see it. Like when I watch a de-aged version of, Harrison Ford and his right eye wavers because they're using some deep fake thing, I'm like, that's taking me right out of the moment in time where I'm like actually believing that this is a story. Like, I get you had to manufacture this for this film, but like,
What did you think of Carrie Fisher's, or I shouldn't even say Carrie Fisher, or specifically Princess Leia's moment in Rogue One?
it was distracting.
Yeah,
I understand I appreciate what it was meant to do, but it was hella distracting.
And what did you think?
Luke Skywalker's appearance in The Mandalorian, distracting.
Yeah,
But I'll tell you when they do it right. Marvel, the use of younger Tony Stark in Civil War, that's good stuff.
yeah.
But they de-age him there. Captain Marvel, de-aging Sam Jackson.
Should they have de-aged Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor a little more in the Obi-Wan series?
I think so. Ewan McGregor was easy because it wasn't that bad. Hayden Christensen definitely aged.
Yeah, he was.
They did some light touches. You could see it, but
I mean, he looked great, but he looked like a 39, 40-year-old Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. It was it was a little weird. I think they got better with some of the technology that we saw in the Book of Boba Fett, specifically with Luke Skywalker. It was like way different with the use of deepfake. But anyways, suffice it to say that that's the kind of stuff that starts to throw me off. I find it really hard to for an 80-year-old man to be running around like a crazy person doing all this shit. And I'm not being ageist by any stretch, but it becomes more of a stretch of believability in terms of like, are you actually doing that shit?
Well, one of the reasons that I actually prefer how we got Luke in The Last Jedi, especially with the arc at the end, but we'll open up a can of worms with that. I know that you agree. Okay, well then there you have it. I tell you what, the cruise, not the cruise, but the hotel closing. What is that thing called?
Galactic Starship.
Yeah, Galactic Starship. Everybody's kind of pouncing on that. I'm like, look, you can pounce on it all you want. I mean, but
pounce on it in what sense?
Fucking like Disney sucks.
Really?
Kathleen Kennedy. Blah, blah, blah,
really?
Blah. Of course. Worst fans ever online. But dude, I had a friend that went, and it was several $1,000s a night to be there.
$4,800 to stay for 2 nights.
Right. Look, man. Yeah, there's somebody that was on Twitter going, it's because she insisted to have the sequel characters, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. We were gonna take our kids and spend $15,000, but they have those woke characters in it. Right. Whatever. And look, man, it just is a weird business model. I made a joke. I was halfway joking a few years ago. I was like, I want to open a Star Wars bar, a theme bar somewhere in Dallas. But I was partially serious. I was like, can I make this thing work? Because, especially in those days, I was heavy in the bar business and trying to get bars open, and had some ups and downs with success. And so I was like, I already had a bar closed that should have worked after 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I venture off and do a Star Wars theme bar? I really was doing the math on it. And a buddy of mine had a great name for it. It was like Admiral Akbar. I was like, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, dude. And then I was going to do menu items that were all themed. And then it just fizzled out. But neither here or there. I just thought I'd throw that in there. But yeah, man, that's it's too fucking expensive, dude.
I mean, yeah. Hey, look, I've spent way too many hours watching YouTube influencers go and stay at these places and record, having their participating in the media day, for example. And 3, 4, you know, chapter videos, 2 hours each of kind of going through the hotel or that experience. And like, honestly, I would have loved to participate in some of that shit, but like it was expensive. They were pushing content to your data tabs, you know, so like via a specialized app. You know, everyone was participating in a story. You know, they were helping specific characters, you know, through their journey, which ultimately culminated in a you know, in a standoff between Kylo Ren and Rey, I think, if I remember correctly. You know, the food was being changed on a regular basis. I mean, it's like the operational shit that goes into running a theme park they threw into a hotel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not cost effective. And in many ways, you know, Disney's comment, because I did read their press release about the closure, was that it was an experiment. Well, that's a hell of an expensive experiment, but I see and I appreciate what they were trying to do. You know, kind of creating these immersive experiences, because let's cut to the chase. Like, people go to these theme parks to be a part of the story, to like touch and feel the shit that you've only been able to see.
That's right.
On the screen.
That's right.
And so to be able to live in that world, I mean, yeah, if it was cheaper, I'd do it, but it wasn't. You know, to make it cheaper doesn't make it cost effective for all the things that they're providing to you.
No, that's right, and it's unfortunate, but you're everything you just said is correct, and I think that it's kind of funny you touched upon the logistics of theme park and restaurant and hotel and hospitality is a tough racket. I know firsthand, razor thin margins, dude. Oh my gosh, you have to have super volume for that to be cured, and you can say that about any business, but the math on cost of goods of food and beverage and everything and labor, oh my god, it's something else.
Yeah.
But it's not a testimony to anything about Star Wars as an entity or the films or Disney Plus. So let's just move on from that. Okay. All right. So I was going to wrap the show up with something, and if you haven't seen it, I just wanted to kind of just talk about it for a second. Have you seen Still? And by the way, the Texan will come out of me. I can't listen. Still, Steal. That's the same word to me. I can't. I don't know which one I'm pronouncing, but I only can say one of them.
Steal.
Yeah, Still.
And then what about Steel? Steel. Yeah, Steel.
Steel.
This
is where, yeah. I mean, this is where the Texan comes out of me.
Oh Jesus!
I don't have an accent, but this kind of shit will sneak up on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for it.
Oh my god, dude!
I want to see it. But it's an Apple TV thing. I think I'm gonna pay for it.
Yeah, you can do like a free trial, then just ditch it though. After you watch it, I hate to say that, but you can. So Jen and I watched it the other day. Jen's my wife, for those that don't know. I tell you, growing up with him, from Family Ties, dude. Before Back to the Future. I mean, to me, the guy from Alex P. Keaton was in this movie about space travel or time travel.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, I wasn't introduced to him even through Back to the Future, and man, it's a hard watch because you're watching someone that's such a beloved performer who in a lot of ways is an underrated actor, especially when you think of films like Casualties of War with Sean Penn. Dude, he's ferocious in that movie. But to see this guy you grew up with, Teen Wolf, Back to the Future trilogy, right?
Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, that's fun. Doc Hollywood's fun. It's I was in high school when that came out. It's hard because you also know that this is going to be his demise, and his condition has worsened. But if you're a fan of his, it's also a very telling story about his career and how he got started and his success. And man, when he was filming Back to the Future, remember he came on. They had already shot
Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, dude, they shot like 15% of that movie. A lot of stuff, maybe more than that. A lot of shit. Well, some of it though that they filmed, they were able to keep, but 15% of Marty's scenes were with Stoltz. I think that's right, but whatever. The point stands. A lot of fucking stuff, and he rolls in. I think within just like.
No, he was filming both Family Ties. Yeah,
dude. He called it a Teamster. Would take him to his apartment in Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
he'd sleep for 3 hours. Another Teamster would come in the morning, unlock his door, put on coffee, start his shower, throw him in there, and then take him in the car, and then
Yeah.
he'd go film that. And he said at one point he was waking up and he didn't know which character he was. He didn't know where he was at, and he thought it was going to be shit, you know. And of course, it's movie history. It's movie magic, but it's good. And it's a good insight on that disease. And not to get too personal and emotional here or anything, but I'm sitting there with the love of my life watching it and watching his wife, who it's like a testimony to real true love, man. Sickness and health, like staying by his side. And it's not about money, because she could take half his money anyway. It's about and he says it in the film, that it's his burden that has become hers. And in a lot of ways, she takes on more of the burden than he does. And he's the one with the disease. And it's quite inspiring. So if you have had a family member that's had Parkinson's, if you're a fan of Michael J. Fox, if you're curious about either or, I just highly recommend it. It's a beautiful hour and a half. You won't regret it. It's hard to watch, but it's uplifting at the same time, right? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. I did catch the trailer and I was like, man, I love. First of all, I love this guy, and I know, I remember hearing, it was, I don't know if it was like a press conference or even like news. It's like, oh, he's got Parkinson's, gonna like take a break.
Oh, dude,
Stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I forgot about was, you know, because they were showing some of his films that weren't doing well, and I was like, I thought his career kind of ended on a high note, though. Spin City.
That's right, and
Yeah.
that's when he was. That's what, like, he had that. They had announced that he had.
Yeah, like on
right?
third season or something maybe.
Like that. Yeah,
But it was funny. They were showing scenes, like he was talking about his hand would be uncontrollable, and so then it would show the scenes. At this point, no one knew, but you know, your eye goes right to that hand, and you can see him hiding it and stuff.
Yeah, probably like trying to put it into motion so it like distracts you from. Yeah. That's wild stuff. I'm definitely a sucker for those kinds of things. I did watch which is another great one. It's called I Am Val.
Oh, dude, I love it.
Oh my, dude!
Gosh,
bawling!
I loved it. And this is not quite the same thing, but the thing on HBO Max about George Carlin is also, it's a 2-part documentary. It's also amazing. But the Val Kilmer thing is a similar thing where you have a beloved star originally from the 80s and 90s, and he'll never be the same.
Yep.
You know,
and he's still popping up every once in a while. I was surprised he popped up in Maverick.
Yeah.
But also like his charisma and the disease that he has, the situation that he's in, you feel his absence, for things that are kind of carrying on. So it's like you couldn't do the Iceman cameo, or you couldn't talk about Iceman in Top Gun. Now, granted, the first Top Gun is like a throwaway bullshit film. Like, it's just now people are like, oh yeah, it's well great. Like, no, it was not great back in the day, but Maverick is amazing. But you start to understand that, Maverick and Iceman have this relationship, and if he wasn't able to pop up, that'd hurt that film. And he brings the charisma. He even in his situation and in his state was still able to kind of bring the heat that you remember in Val Kilmer. And then you watch a show like Willow on Disney Plus, and they're talking about Mad Mardigan, and he ain't there. And that's like a gaping hole that's left in that entire franchise. I'm like, I'm glad they wrapped that shit up, because it sucked.
Well, they wrapped it up, and it's coming off the stream. And there's a lot of people complaining about that, and that's unfortunate for the fans of it. And I think there should be a physical copy of it for people that want it. But at the same time, if no one's watching it, dude,
why spend the money hosting that, or
just
time on your service?
I mean, I hate to say that to the fans of the show, but give them the Blu-ray, do something for them. But whatever. So, man, this was a heavy conversation with a lot of stuff, my friend. Let's wrap this thing up. You got any last thoughts on just anything you want to chat about real quick, or just any final thoughts on anything we discussed?
Yeah, well, not really on stuff that we discussed, but it's something for folks to consider who are about to step headfirst into the summer movie time period, right? So it's like we've got things like The Flash, we got Indiana Jones. We talked a lot about that. AMC is doing some really wonky shit with their premium seating upcharge. I don't know if you guys ever have experienced it in your city, but
no, I'm a Cinemark guy.
Yeah, so AMC is big in New York. It's like almost every major theater, with the exception, like, obviously they got some Regal theaters, but they're doing an upcharge on prime seating, right? So it's like the center aisles. And they'll also discount like if you end up in the front row. But one of the things I would say to folks is, remember you've got options. Films are coming out pretty frequently. A lot of folks are a lot of movies rather are dropping in that 45-day period. And for what you would have spent for a family of 4 to go to a theater,
right?
You could just wait and purchase that thing online. But where you might get more bang for your buck is if you join one of those A-list subscriber things where you are allotted a certain number of seats per month to go see the movies. I have opted into that. It's like $22, which is a little bit more than what I'd be paying for a ticket. But if I go to the movies 3 times, I get premium seating access. I get all of that good stuff. So definitely consider that stuff. That's the last thing I'll leave folks with.
No, and that's good. And when I'm in Dallas, I go to AMC. They are here in Houston, but there's where I'm at, the suburb I'm in. Cinemarks are closer, and they're all like there's a Cinemark Cut. I don't know if those have made their way up there. It's kind of a new offshoot. It's kind of like a Studio Movie Girls in New York. I know. No, what is up in New York? That's the same thing though, where you have the server that's waiting.
Oh, I mean, well, so we like the AMC has a food one, but it's the Draft House, the Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, Alamo Draft House. I always forget that those are not just in Texas. I don't even think it's a Texas-based company. It's like Texas Roadhouse Restaurants or some guys from Ohio or some bullshit. But I do want to end the show on one thing. I just kind of looked down at my notes. I can't believe I forgot, but this is my delirious state. So my favorite sitcom of all time is Cheers. I'm super excited about Frasier doing another. I'm a little worried about it because Frasier was one of those lightning in the bottle spinoffs that was just as good as Cheers. Mm-hmm. He's about to launch a new Frasier, and he's back in Boston. So the timing of this is kind of interesting. I wonder how they're going to incorporate the characters from Cheers in this show because they popped up inside Frasier when he was in Seattle. But for my birthday, which is May 31st, my lovely wife got me at the Moody Center at the University of Texas in Austin. I think is it actually on the campus? Is it detached? Shit, I might be misspeaking about that. Moody. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's in Austin, and I'm going to on Friday, June 2nd. I'm sitting in on a panel, and the cast members I know that are there are Ted Danson, John Ratzenberger, and George Wendt. George Wendt is Jason Sudeikis' uncle, by the way, but that's Sam Malone. That's Cliff Clavin, and that's Norm Peterson. And they said, and others. So maybe Shelley Long will pop in, Rhea Perlman, Kelsey Grammer. Unfortunately, Kirstie Alley's passed away, whatever. But the creators, Les Charles, Glenn Charles, and James Burrows will be there. And it's just a panel reflecting on the show. They're going to do some script readings from some episodes. I'm like, kid in a candy store, dude.
Oh, man, you're going to be sobbing like
a baby. I'm so stoked.
Yeah,
I am so excited, and I love going over to Austin anyway, so it's an excuse to go. But anyway, I'll cover that here for the 3 of you that give a crap about Cheers at the stage in your life. But I'm really excited about that. All right, so let's do some plays and get out of here, man. What you got?
Yeah, you can check me out at the Fanboy Garage on Twitter, Instagram, and our show, which is everywhere that you can find a podcast. So Spotify, iTunes, podcasts, whatever, Stitcher, whatever.
You got to have me back on soon.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do a show. Actually,
you do a show.
I feel bad. Right. I'm spending time here talking to you, and I'm not even doing my own show.
Well, I feel bad. I talked about Andy from Holy Batcast having him booked on Tuesday. And then he gets after the booking, he gets an early screening on Monday night. And he's going. I almost want to text him like, "It's cool if you want to postpone it and do your own show. I understand, You know what I mean, especially with the Batman Central podcast." But he's a good sport. I'm sure he'll just do both. But anyway, and be looking forward to that. It's gonna be a good podcast. Anyway, follow all of our handles on Instagram. Courtney runs that for us. Facebook, Twitter. I'm kind of doing that. Find us on Facebook and follow us and iTunes, Stitcher, all that stuff. I've slept 2 hours. I'm sorry. Yeah, YouTube. Just follow us where you get great podcasts. I am fizzling out. I am. Oh man, I'm done, dude. This is like coffee cup 20. Anyway, I'm Rick Shew at Shew Rick SHEW. On behalf of myself, Courtney Sheik, Brian Chatlin, we are the friends from work. Aaron from Fanboy Garage. I love you, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
See you.